us from different agricultural commodity associations. I will start from my far right. Ilyasu Awodi is the Deputy National Secretary of RIFAN. Welcome to the program, Ilyasu.
Thank you.
And then I'll move to Dr. Austin Nwaduka, the National Public Relations Officer of Nigeria Cassava Growers Association. Welcome to the program.
Nice to be here.
And finally, Engineer Henry Olatujoye, the National from the National Palm Produce Association of Nigeria, the president of that association.
It's good to be here.
All right, welcome to the program.
Yeah.
All right, we'll begin with food security is an essential component of the economic development of a nation. Now, many will want to ask, have we been able to create sustainable food systems in Nigeria over the year, even as we strive towards attaining zero hunger by 2030? Let me begin with you, Engineer.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We have not been able, partly because we don't understand what is meant purely by food security and economy, as it were. When you say security, you're saying you're talking about freedom, you're talking about assurance, you're talking about confidence and capacity to be in control of the need of life. And if you look at it today, Nigeria as a country has not been able to shift from sustenance farming to sustainable farming. And today, you cannot say you are sustainable when your farmers are still practicing in the old realm. And as such, it's difficult that for us to say we have been able to achieve that sustainability that is required to feed our country. Thank you. That's my contribution.
I think Dr. Austin want to add to that.
Just to buttress what my colleague has said, actually we have not really gotten to that level of saying that our environment is food secured. Because right now, as I speak with you, a lot of farmers don't even really understand what we are talking about when you talk about food security. And because the system that we are in has not really allowed us, to flow in that direction. For now, we have not really gotten to that of saying that we are food secured in Nigeria.
Okay. And for Ilyasu, the issue of zero hunger. That's the new. You want to call it the new word that we're preaching, zero hunger 2030. Effort so far by the government. Can we say we are actually on the path?
Yes, I would say yes, we are on the path because of recent. This administration has really done well. I'm talking on behalf of Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. If you observe that in the last few years, we had problem of a lot of rice importation. This government tried to, stop importation of rice so that our local farmers can benefit from the gestures of the federal government. And that's why in 2015, the administration of Buhari, anchored this rice anchor brewers program. If you observe, in 2015, 2016, while these anchor brewers were established, the farmers really laughed to the banks. And to sustain, the rice production, in the rainy season, unfortunately, there is flood.
Yes.
The government increased its support to rice farmers in Nigeria to produce more, because our intention was to produce about 9 million tons of rice this season. Unfortunately, this has been ravaged by, floods that has happened in this country. However, the Federal Minister of Agriculture, with proactive measures, he called all the value chain, on rice production to a conference to see how best we can approach so that we don't have, shortage of rice in 2019. And we have assured the minister that will engage more farmers to go into rice farming this dry season so that we can get the difference made up before any shortage comes in.
Still staying with you, Mr. Elias, so I want to, in terms of rice importation, many will want to know what is the situation like now in terms of the economic realities we have on ground currently.
Oh, it is terrible. It's terrible, I must tell you. The time we had the meeting with the minister, a lot of importation of rice is flourishing along Benin border. And efforts to cap this has been a colossal loss to customs and excise, personnel. Abdul Hamid Ali, when we met with him, because it is our view to ensure that this importation of imported rice is stopped. But he told us he was losing a lot of men. And he didn't stop at that. He said he was going to continue to fight. And some of us believe that the only remedy for this importation of rice to the country, mark you, rice being imported are hazardous to human consumption in Nigeria, because they stayed several years before they are imported to this country. So that the only way we can stop this is to close the borders between Benin and Niger Republic. Unless we do that, then we're in trouble.
All right, I'll come back to you on that aspect of, because I know there are steps to, but Nigerian government has said that we need to close that border. We'll find out what the current situation. Let's come to Henry. The issue of palm, produce. Nigeria, used to be up there, but right now, the situation is definitely not something. What is happening in terms of palm right now?
Well, I would say good things is happening in terms of palm, but it's not significant. Why? Because deliberately Nigerian lets go the development in tree crop planting. And you know that to establish a commercial plantation requires a lot of money, a lot of lands. And when we had the opportunity to do that, we neglected it. So land has been fragmented. So for you to have a commercial plantation now, you'll be looking at having close to about 25,000 hectares of land. Yeah. And where would you get that one in Nigeria? Without encroaching on family land and all the rest. But this present government and the previous government coming with a transformation agenda on agriculture, agric, they actually put so much fund in oil palm development. And that encourages local investors, Nigerian investors, to put in their money. And as it is today, it's a flourishing business. And we've tried to ensure that we encourage Nigerian farmers to invest in the plantation business by supporting government initiatives, removing foreign exchange allocation towards oil palm importation to Nigeria. Although oil palm is not banned, you can bring it to Nigeria, but it must be at the normal playing ground of 35% tariff. But still, as is made, people still smuggle palm oil to Nigeria. They smuggle them in jerry cans across the Cameroon border to Nigeria, Benin Republic border. And this government, in its own belief, has been working hard to stop this. But let me use the opportunity to pass the message across to Nigerians. Nigerians should believe in Nigeria. If you believe in something, you don't destroy what you believe in. Nigerians deliberately, we want to work against government initiatives just to earn
quick monies.
And it's not the best. For everything you do in smuggling, you are killing the jobs of thousands of your brothers and sisters. So if Nigerians will change and don't connect with hoodlums to bring in banned items to the country, the better for all of us.
In terms of production, what is our local capacity right now on oil palms? I'm told you have some data on that.
Yeah. Today in Nigeria, the data are not actually confirmed, but it's not far from the reality. For now, our consumption is about 2.4 million tons annually, and we produce average between 1.5 and 1.7 million tons.
So we are not even able to meet.
So that is why it becomes a good business for every importer. And again, let me put on this note. Importing crude palm oil from Indonesia or Malaysia is not good, because most of the oil you bring in from Indonesia to Nigeria, they are for industrial use. Because partially part of the vitamin A has been removed to sort their need. I mean, we know people from that end have issue of vitamin A. That's why we should be wearing glasses all the time. But be it as it may, it's not good to bring in crude palm oil from Asian countries and flood Nigerian market.
Okay, I would halt you there now. I want to bring in Doctor into the conversation now. We know at a point we had the cassava bread.
Yeah.
We are talking about attaining food self-sufficiency, where we'll be able to feed ourselves and even feed other nations. But how has it been for the cassava value chain? Because the whole cassava bread initiative faded out after a while. And let's get to hear from you.
Well, during the last administration of President Jonathan, we were able to do 29,500 hectares of cassava farms cut across some selected states. From the Nigerian Cassava Growers Association, we were able to achieve that. But we had a challenge because at the end of time, when the cassavas were matured for off-taking from the farmers, we had an issue of the processors not being able to off-take these cassavas. Some have overgrown. Issues like fund not made available by Bank of Industry for the processors to upgrade their facilities become a challenge. And that was what crippled the whole of that cassava bread initiative of Jonathan. When the new administration came on board, we met with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Chief Audogbe. There was a meeting between the cassava growers, the master bakers, the processors, Bank of Industry, Ministry of Trade and Investment, and the Bank of Agriculture, to see how we can revive the program again, having invested so much fund into it, by the last administration, and there's so much noise that was made about the cassava bread and what have you, and it was clear before us then that Bank of Industry refused to do their own part of the deal. Cassava having a sex fund for the primary production, we're able to do the 29,000 hectares that we were given to do, but the fund for the off-takers, which was supposed to be given to the processors, was not given to them by the Bank of Industry. It became a challenge, and the ministers ordered them to return back the money to the ministry through the TSA channel and what have you. But as I speak with you today, I don't know if that fund has been returned back to the processors or not. So on that, the cassava bread initiative, we will not say did not succeed, and we will not say it succeeded, because right now it is not been felt.
So you are saying it's hanging.
It's just hanging.
Has there been adequate communication between your organization, the private sector, and the government on how we can revive this cassava bread initiative?
Yes, we have been meeting. Recently, with the wisdom of the Director of Commodity in the Ministry of Trade and Investment, she came up with an idea, a beautiful idea, that the stakeholders in the cassava value chain should come together to have a voice, a common voice. We'll be able to speak for the cassava programs of the government. We're still working towards that, and I believe before the end of the year, something positive will come out of it.
Okay, let's go. Let me go to Ilyasu. That seems the rice production in Nigeria seems to have received a lot of attention from this administration. Now, when you spoke earlier, you spoke about the fact that the floods may have reduced the expectations. Yeah. So, what exactly, in terms of tons, did we produce? Because you gave the estimate at 9 million tons for this year. And what have you also done? Because in terms of keeping or storing some of these products, especially with the floods, let's find out.
You see, with the flood, recently we took a tour of some of the states that were affected by these floods. I went to Niger and Kogi states. From Ida, we cruise on this flying boat to Ibaji. It took about 40 minutes, and it is so devastating to see a large plain of land being flooded.
Cultivation of rice.
Cultivated, mostly cultivated. But the area, what I want to bring in here, my assumption when I saw that area, even that area alone in this country can produce rice to feed Nigeria. What I saw in that area, not to talk of other areas in Nigeria. But there was a proactive arrangement by the Federal Minister of Agriculture. He called all the value chain the producers, the Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, and the Central Bank to see how it could be cushioned with a lot of tonnage being lost to floods. Because we fear if we don't do something now, then it will be catastrophic, maybe by middle of the year. But we hope to go through a cycle to produce rice in Nigeria. And the federal government has made available silos, a lot scattered in Nigeria, to Rice Farmers Association, where all the rice aggregators will be stored. You'll be cleaned, and the ministry has also, planning to give concessions to the processors to buy off these grains so that they can process it with the low interest rate. I think about 5%. That's what they have, recommended, so that all our processors should be able, to collect this rice and process them in time before the next, harvest of the dry season comes in. So the government is aware, because what the government said, in the South Asian countries, 1 kg of rice costs them just 50 cents, while in Nigeria it's almost double, 90 cents. And the government wants to give concessions. There is what we call rice processing stabilization support scheme. That the government wants to, give money to, the value chain to make it easy to meet the demand of Nigeria, and also to improve the quality of rice being produced, so that if you import your rice, we want to ensure that the price maybe comes out to 13,000 or 12,000 as against 18 or 16,000 naira of the imported rice.
Okay, let me come to engineer now. We know one of the key points the UN highlighted yesterday in the World Food Day, as the World Food Day was commemorated, is the issue of waste. How can we avoid wastages in the distribution of food products?
Well, thank you very much. That question you're asking me now is very wide, because when you talk about waste, it means that you don't know what to do with what you have. That's the implication. It becomes a waste when you produce so much and you don't know where to sell it. First and foremost, for us to reduce waste, we must develop on ground good storage facilities, not just a silo. Silos are for grain. What about for tomatoes?
What of cassava?
What about cassava? What about for oranges? We need to develop handling facilities to ensure that once they come from the farm gate, they are properly handled and preserved for the market. Mostly, you experience when you come from Benue axis, you see many oranges somersaulted on the road, and the owner abandon it because from that point, there's nothing to do with it again.
Yes.
That's the meaning of waste. We don't have to have waste if we know and we appreciate what we are doing. So it's not with government alone. I know for sure government has so many silos across the country, but they are still not enough. It is more than putting silo in Jigawa or in Akure that we're saying. Putting silo at the clusters.
Close to the farm.
Close to the farm, and educating the farmers. Then number two, there's need for extension services development. Nigeria extension services development to farmers is zero as of today. Most of the officers, they are in the office. They don't go out again. When you make policies in the office and there's no channel to send it to the grassroots and get them educated, then your policies are going to fail. Today, many Nigerian farmers don't even think about storing their produce. Once they harvest, they take it to the farm directly, especially yam. If you go to the to Kubwa area now, you can buy 100 yams for 18,000 naira.
Wow.
It's a waste.
Yes.
Because the farmers is not making adequate compensation for the effort. So why is he selling at 8,000? Because he's afraid that if I don't sell it now, it will become a waste. So as I said, it's a very wide topic on its own. That's what I'm saying.
The issue of farm gates and farmers, getting more value for efforts put in, I'm going to Austin now, was raised just yesterday at a forum which is talking about foreigners, some foreigners exploiting farmers, go to the farmers directly and give them, you want to say, low prices for. How bad is that issue?
Very, very bad. Very, very, very extremely bad. Now, if you go to Kogi State, for instance, in the north central part of this country, I think cashew grow more in Kogi State. Today, if you go to the remotest village in Kogi, you see Chinese in the villages, giving money to the villagers to buy this cashew from the cashew owners, right from the tree. You see how bad it is? They are everywhere. They know the season, they know when to come in. Even you that is a Nigerian don't even know when this is they know the time they come in. Give money to our community traders. Buy off these things from us. Use all our laborers here, very cheap laborers, and take these things outside the country.
Selling foreign currency.
And selling hard currencies and make huge profit. There was a time some Chinese came here and they were advocating for chips. My president, Pastor Adewumi, in his wisdom, said no. It became a challenge between him and the government of the day. He was telling the ministry that this is not helping Nigerians. How can you take our raw material and sell outside this country? Take the labor of this country and take it outside. And we're saying we want to create jobs, want to empower the youth. That this is second slavery, in the recent time. That it is cheap and better for us to do our cassava here and even turn it to gari than selling our cassava into chips, because you need about 3.5 tons of a wet cassava to get 1 ton of chips, which a Chinese man will buy at 40,000 or 45,000 from you. You understand? And here, with that same number of tonnage, you get about 120,000 naira. So why doing that?
And gari itself is becoming a big man's.
Gari is first to invent rice, because there's no average Nigerian that don't eat gari.
Yes.
Either you soak it as
normal gari
soaking, or you make it into
whatever. My village is made as pupuru.
Okay.
So you can understand. So I don't see the sense, taking out what we have here to foreign lands.
You want to add something to that?
Sorry, let me add something.
Yeah.
That is on the agri side of it. On the national security side of it, it's an abomination. It makes your security network to be very porous. Most of these guys can be agents of secret services. They can be agents of
these foreign terrorists.
Or the terrorists.
Yes.
And when you allow them to go to your hinterland, understand the cravings, understand the way out everything.
Buy food.
So the Nigerian government should stop this practice and immediately.
And that's a call to security agencies, I
Yes,
believe.
they should stop it immediately.
Mr. Ilyasu, what are some of the measures we can put in place to bring an end to this practice?
Well, the only alternative is for government to be up and doing. Some of these, what they all said, they are true, because last season we had a problem on rice the same way. Some multinationals with all the integrated rice farmers in Nigeria were just buying off the grains, storing them, without processing them, because they want to create artificial scarcity, so that the government can give them foreign exchange to go and import rice, which they will never do.
And then they bring out this.
Yes, so it leaked out, and the government was firm. And he said no. So this issue is a very serious issue. I have some Chinese in my local government. That is not on food, it's on this marble. They are there mining, minerals, crushing it. And when I asked the chairman of my local government, do you know what is happening there? Once somebody processes an item, there must be a custom officer there who will now work out the excise duty to be paid. But they will take this one out and once. And I even learned that they will go and bag it somewhere. Even the area they produce this is not even named on the bag.
Wow.
So it's a very, very serious challenge to Nigerian government to ensure that these type of things are stopped.
All right, we'll have to begin to round up. Your final parting words, Dr. Austin, especially, you know, with regards to the fact that we must not stop, we must continue, and then the issue of zero hunger must be achieved. What do you think, you know, still needs to be done? You know, parting words from you.
Yeah, for zero hunger, it's possible. It is very, very possible. Just like what one of your presenters was saying this morning, it is possible. If we can't feed 100, at least we can feed one. I tried to, you know, I tried to do one or two experiments early this year, using the back side of my house.
Please do the rounding up.
So I just do an aeroponic kind of farming.
Okay.
And I discovered that if everybody has such farm behind his or her compound, will be able to attend zero hunger.
All right, so everybody should try and do some sort of farming. That's it. All right, final party.
Well, thank you. I'll pick up from where I stopped. I want to encourage every Nigerian to farm.
Every Nigerian.
Every Nigerian to farm. You don't have to be a large-scale farmer. Just don't buy everything produced in the market.
All right.